Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of FooTea Fantasy where we discuss football and FPL over a cup of tea. I'm your host Shouvik and today we'll be reviewing the matches from the Game Week 6 of English Premier League. Shourav unfortunately couldn't join us today because he's on a holiday and probably having a lot of fun, but we do expect him to be back with us before we record the next episode. So before we get into the matches of Game Week 6, let's quickly update you regarding the scores of our fantasy team. So Shourav scored a very healthy 59 points compared to how this game week went, and I scored 47 points for my team, which was on wildcard. So not a very good game week for me personally, but I think the team looks good, and hopefully we can bounce back in the upcoming game weeks. So we'll discuss the fantasy aspects and the fantasy team, a preview to game week 7 in the next episode. But for this episode, we'll keep it to the matches of Game Week 6 and the results and how things shaped up there. So let's start and let's get into it. An overview of the results. There were a couple of surprises this game week. I think nobody predicted an Ipswich and Aston Villa draw. I think Ipswich played very well at home. We'll go into the details as we move ahead. Um, Also, Leicester to score two goals against that Arsenal defense. I don't think that was on the menu for a lot of people. Even in terms of FPL, we all went for double Arsenal defense, or many people went for double Arsenal attack. But yeah, everybody had some part of those that Arsenal defense, and two goals were unprecedented. Similarly, Chelsea and Brighton 4-2. I don't think anybody thought Chelsea would score four goals against Brighton. We all rated that defense pretty well. So four goals against that Brighton defense, which was holding such a high line. That was an interesting game. We'll get into it. And obviously, the highlight of this week is cold Cole Palmer. That's it. That's all about it. I think Palmer stole the show uh, for the entire weekend. But there was another interesting match, and we'll start with that. Start a review with that, and that was Manchester United versus Spurs. 0-3. I don't think again anybody expected. We all expected a high scoring game week, but I don't think anybody expected Manchester United to not score at Old Trafford against that Spurs defense. Yes, there was a Bruno Fernandes red card. We'll talk about it, but let's start with the game before the red card. And even then, when Bruno was on the pitch and it was 11v11, United really looked all over the place, and our Spurs were all over United right from the word go. And their attack from the flanks, Brennan Johnson, Timo Werner. Timo Werner didn't have the final finishing touches in the final third, but his playmaking and his runs down the wing were causing problems. Both Mazraoui and Dalot, uh, I don't think had a very average game. I thought they didn't deal with it particularly well. Both were booked, and Spurs attacked from their flanks, really menacing attacks from the flanks. So yeah, even the before the Bruno Fernandes red card, Johnson scored, and before we talk about Johnson, we have to talk about the assist from Mickey Van de Ven. What an assist! This is the second time this season that Mickey Van de Ven has gone on a run and you know cut the defense open for the opposition team. And what a run it is! Nobody could catch him. You can argue it was particularly poor from Manchester United as well. They could have defended better. A lot of things, Dallo, Ugarte, Rashford. Although I don't personally believe it was Rashford's ball to win or to chase, given that Van de Ven already had a head start against him. And he's fast. He's the fastest player in the Premier League. So you can't really expect Rashford to turn around, then run after Van de Ven and catch him. But what an assist for a defender. All those things aside, to cut through that defense and to play such a beautiful pass for Brennan Johnson to put it on a platter for him. He just had to, just get his foot to it, and it was a goal. Brilliant from Spurs, very poor from United. Again, Eric Ten Hag. We have been talking about this since last season, since the time he has been at United. Um, this is his third season now, and I don't think even United fans will agree that you can't really see a structure, a method of play uh, at United. You can compare that with Ange Postecoglou at Spurs. This is his second season, and you can see how he has transformed that Spurs side. I'm not saying Spurs are a top team now, no, but Ange Postecoglou's methodology and his ideas are clearly visible on the team. How they play, how they defend, even if it's a poor defense and a very good attack. That's his philosophy. That's how he wants that team to play, and you can see a change. Same with Enzo Maresca at Chelsea. It's been what, 5 game weeks, 6 game weeks into the Premier League season, but you can see they're trying to play in a way, and the players are adapting. And each game week after game week, each every weekend, you can see the team getting a little better, a little buying a little bit more into the idea, understanding what they have to do a little more. So that is what you want to see from your manager, from your team, and especially when it's the third season, you obviously expect that a lot more. You know, the team is Ten Hag's team. Every player, almost most of the players are bought in after he came to United. So I don't know what's the excuse there. Even after the match, I heard him say in the press conference that you know that he needs more time, and this is the third season. And particularly as a Chelsea fan, I can't relate to the fact that you need time at your third season. Under Roman Abramovich, your third game was probably a little too much time to adapt. So third season is, I don't know. Uh, United fans have been calling for a sacking in the last season as well, but the FA Cup win completely overshadowed everything that happened in that season, and I think reality has just caught up with them again. But talking of Spurs, they were excellent. I mean, their attack, their play, their intent, even before the red card, after the red card, they were on it. They looked turned on. They looked determined to get a result, and they gave a game to United. And United at home were so mellow and meek. I've never seen a United team at Old Trafford being dominated like this. I mean, you have to be better. You have to show more fight. You can lose. Football is a game, and you can win some, you can lose some, but you have to show intent. You have to show some fight at Old Trafford, especially in front of your own fans, your board of directors. Alex Ferguson was there. I don't know what more you need to motivate yourselves. Um, the Bruno Fernandes red card, I think that's a point of discussion. A lot of people thought it was not a red card. It was a very soft red card. So I think we should we should get one thing clear, pretty clear at first. It was definitely a foul. It was definitely a yellow card. Now, whether it was a red card or not, there can be two explanations to that, or two sides of the stories to that. The first would be that his stud was not up. He barely grazed the ankle, just below the knee, the shin of James Madison, and Madison was not particularly hurt. He caught up himself pretty early. Post match, Bruno Fernandes also said that Madison told him he didn't think it was a red card. But then you have to also think about what could have been. I mean, this could have very much been a season-ending tackle for James Madison had the studs been up. Bruno Fernandes slipped just before he made that tackle. So you can say he slipped, and that's why it was not his fault. That's why it was a yellow card and not a red. But I would say because he slipped before he made that tackle, he could have withdrawn. It was not that because he slipped, his foot went high. He went for that tackle after he slipped. He knew what he was doing. He deliberately just fouled him, and he was miles away from the ball. He didn't have any intent to get the ball. He wanted to stop Madison. But once you slip and your foot is high, you could just withdraw. I mean, that was, I thought, a brain fade moment from Bruno Fernandes. He gave the referee an opportunity to make a decision, and the decision was red. That is how I would put it. It could have been a yellow, and maybe we would be having the same conversation whether it was a yellow or a red. So it was a soft red, I agree to that. But he gave the chance to the referee to make that decision. And once he made a decision that it was red, I don't think VAR could overturn that. A lot of people were blaming VAR, but I don't think in this case you can blame VAR because VAR would only overturn a decision when it's a clear overturning of that decision. matlab, there is no doubt. It's beyond doubt. But I think in this case, it was always if once given a red, it was always a red. You can't overturn that. So Bruno has to take responsibility for what he did. Uh, once United went down to 10 men, Kobe got injured. Mason Mount came on. Got I think within the first minute he got booked. I don't think United had a chance after that. Although Garnacho looked really lively, I think he's the only player in that United team who still wants to do something, who's out there with a purpose, who's being direct, who's playing, trying, running, chasing balls down, trying to get on the end of the crosses, making runs. He hit the post again. He hit the post against Crystal Palace as well. So he's the only player who looks like he's giving his 110% for that United team, and he looks lively. He looks in a good form, uh, but the teammates I think are letting him down to an extent. The team as a whole are letting themselves down, and United need to get better. This could be a very long season for them. Um, Whether they should sack Erik Ten Hag or not, that is still up for debate, I think. I think it should have been done by now, but now that they have started this season, bought in two or three more players whom Erik Ten Hag wanted, now to sack him at game week 6 and bring in a new manager, I think would not solve any purpose. So let's see what happens with that. So enough with Manchester United and Spurs. I think Manchester United will give us uh, I think will give us topic to talk about throughout the season, the way they're playing at this point. So let's move on and move to the next game, which is Chelsea versus Brighton. And I, as a Chelsea fan, was particularly delighted with that Brighton defensive line. Uh, yes, we can give all the credit. To start with, let's give all the credit we can to Cole Palmer. That boy has the world on his at his feet right now. Everything he's doing is just coming off. To get 4 goals and still say that you probably did not, you could have got more, you didn't actually get what you could have from this game is insane. As FPL managers also, those who didn't have Cole Palmer, I think you were saved. And to say that after a 25 pointer is a big thing. He hit the post once, he missed another one-on-one opportunity. I think he made two brilliant assists for Jackson and he missed both. So he could have easily have had a 35, 40 pointer instead of a 25. And and apart from fantasy also, I think just for Chelsea, he's such an important player. He's running the show. That free kick, what a goal that was. I mean, he's just oozing class at this point and he's breaking records for fun. So Cole Palmer, I think, has continued from last season. There were concerns that in a new season under a new manager, what kind of a role he'll have and what how important will he be to this team. I think all those concerns are now put to rest, and Cole Palmer is the Chelsea talisman, and Chelsea will play through him. Everything is going to go through him, either a goal or an assist or the playmaking. Everything is going through Cole Palmer. So I don't know. I've run out of words of superlatives to attach to Cole Palmer. He's just a brilliant player, and the next superstar in world of foot in the footballing world. I think not only in for Chelsea or not only in English Premier League, but in the footballing world, I think we are witnessing the rise of another star. Um, Moving on from Cole Palmer, because Cole, we all know what he has done, how talented he is. Let's talk a little about Jackson. I think last game he looked confident. This game he was again back to more of what we have been used to seeing Jackson. A little underconfident, missed two, three great chances. I mean, Cole Palmer uh, put it on a plate for him, an open goal which he took too much time to shoot, and then the defender covered in. So Jackson being Jackson, I think again the problem that we associate with him of being inconsistent, of being a poor finisher. I think we all saw that again in this game, unfortunately. Um, the other two wingers, Chelsea's attack, I think Sancho, since coming on, has made a real difference. I think we have seen a more productive Cole Palmer also because of Jadon Sancho. And what a player! He's so smooth, silky, and so easy on the eye. Great player. I mean, you can see his class, and the more minutes he'll get, the more time he'll spend with this team, with Enzo Maresca. I think he'll just become better and better. And I am excited to see Sancho develop at Chelsea. And that attack of Palmer, Sancho, Madueke, and Jackson or Nkunku up top uh, would be one of the most threatening attacks that Chelsea would have in the entire Premier League, with Neto, Felix, all those bench strength that we have. So great game from Chelsea, great game from the attackers. Madueke, I think he needs to be a little less selfish, and he needs to understand when to shoot, when to pass. He could have made a couple of goals for Chelsea had he not gone for the goal himself from tight angles. Uh, if he continues like this, I can see him being dropped to the bench for Neto because he has Neto breathing down his neck, and Neto is a complete team player. You'll hardly see Neto. You'll see Neto cross and pass more than he shoots, and I think the way this team is performing, setting up and moving, uh, that would result to more output. But Madueke, having said that, Madueke is a great player. If he can just understand when to shoot and when to pass, uh, he has a great future. Enzo Maresca likes him. He just needs to be better. Just needs to make better decisions on the ball. Talking of the defense, I think both the defenses in this game, Brighton and Chelsea, were competing with each other to be the worst. I mean, Brighton's high line was so ridiculous. They were almost at the halfway line, and they just couldn't defend when Chelsea were putting the balls over their heads behind their defensive line. Very poor. Could have been a much greater score line than 4-2. Similarly with Chelsea, unnecessary mistakes playing out from the back. Both the goals a result of mistake from Sanchez, who had a horrible game. And if Chelsea want a ball playing goalkeeper to suit this system, where he can be a sweeper keeper and play as an another 11th outfield player, I don't think Sanchez is the solution. They need to find a goalkeeper. And I know it sounds crazy because Chelsea already have a lot of goalkeepers in their rooster, but they need to find the right one. And Sanchez is not the long-term answer to this kind of a style of play. So I didn't like that performance from Sanchez. Both the goals, you can make one mistake, but to make two mistakes in a game at this level, I don't think that's acceptable. So let's see how long he goes. I think he can, he's on a thin wire. He can get replaced anytime. From Brighton's attack, I think Rutter again impressed. I think impressed in the last game as well. This game as well. He looks lively, got a goal. Baliba was lively as well. He got a goal. And Rutter may, the way he's playing, if Welbeck can keep up his form, Rutter plays this well. Uh, João Pedro might find it difficult to, get regular minutes in this team because they're all competing for the same position essentially. So Ritter might play on the right as well, but he's doing really well at the center of the field as a 10. So that is something we have to keep a close eye on, especially in terms of FPL going forward. What happens when João Pedro comes back and what are his minutes before you um, bring him back to your team. Another 4-2 result that we saw this weekend was from Arsenal. Uh, Arsenal went 2-0 up early on, but two goals from James Justin. I don't think anybody predicted that. James Justin plays FPL, and I don't think he himself predicted that because he benched himself and played two Arsenal defenders in his FPL team. So that kind of says it all. Leicester hasn't had an XG of 0.27 in this game, which is basically they were expected to score less than one goal in this game for all the chances that they created, and they scored two. So that tells you a lot about the quality of the chance that was created and the level of finishing that James Justin provided. So very lucky Arsenal to snatch that win, although deserved, I would definitely say, because they really turned on a great performance. Saka was so lively, created so many big chances. Havertz was wasteful. Uh, he created a big chance for Havertz. He created from the corner again a very big chance for Gabriel to head in a goal, which he missed. So I think Arsenal should have been comfortably ahead and comfortably winning this game. But as they say, these kind of matches are your banana peels where you tend to slip up. But luckily for Arsenal, they managed to get those 3 points, and those 3 points were really important given that Manchester City dropped points. And we'll come to that next. But before that, Calafiori, I think, went off with an injury. So we need to hear what Arteta says about that. Hopefully he'll be fine. Didn't look that bad, but one to keep an eye on. Um Nothing much from Leicester. I think two goals from very low chance, XG chance, but nothing much of note. Not that they were very brilliant. Although their goalkeeper, oh, he deserves a special mention. I can't recall his name, but he turned into prime Manuel Neuer on this match. Really, if you see the highlights, great saves from him. So he really turned in a performance. But apart from that, the team was usually poor. So Leicester is still a team to target, and you know they're not playing that well. They need to turn up to save the season. So yeah, talking from Arsenal, let's go to their main title rivals, Man City. And as I mentioned just now, Man City dropped points at Newcastle. Newcastle looked such a such a better, by far the better team on the pitch, and which was so unexpected because the first 5 game weeks that we saw from Newcastle, they might have got results, but in none of the matches were they convincing. Neither in terms of their attack, neither in terms of their defense. They were all over the place, and you didn't expect anything to change in a week's time. But back at home, Newcastle just found their mojo, and Haaland was kept virtually out of the game, absolutely quiet. Rico Lewis was nowhere to be seen, not involved in any of the play. Gundogan had such a poor game, which you don't usually expect from him. Bernardo made a couple of poor decisions in the final third. Manchester City didn't just create anything. They desperately missed Rodri. They missed KdB. And in Rodri and KdB's absence, I really expected Phil Foden to start. but Foden was not in the starting 11, which I really find surprising. I don't know what's going on with Phil Foden and Pep Guardiola, but Phil has had enough time to recover after the Euros, after he didn't go to the international break with the England team. So he has had enough break. He has played some 45 minutes, some small minutes here and there, but he should be starting now. Everybody else who was in the Euros are back to fitness and everything, but I don't know. Phil Foden needs to come back, or else City will really struggle, and they need to save this season by finding a solution to the Rodri absence as soon as they can, because they've already dropped points, and Liverpool are on at top of the table. So concerns for Man City, and I think Newcastle can take a lot of heart from this performance. A draw, although a draw, but against Man City at home, I think they'll take it any day. Isak didn't play, so Gordon was on penalties. He won the penalty, converted it. Newcastle should have scored again. They created the majority of the chances. They created most of the chances. Man City really didn't create anything or didn't look threatening. Guardiola with the goal, a very good finish. But apart from that, I didn't see much from Man City to talk really. I don't know why Savio didn't start. He generally creates a lot of chances for them. He has been their best player, I think, since game week one, apart from Haaland in terms of creativity. But he didn't start as well, so that didn't help matters. And yeah, Man City just struggled in a nutshell, and Newcastle can probably use this result to kick on their season now and improve their performances. Trippier at right back, I think we called it in the last or the last to last pod that Trippier is their best player and he needs to start. So you can see the difference. He created a lot of crosses, was so lively, going ahead, threatening balls into the box, and had a presence on the pitch, really good presence on the pitch. So Trippier needs to start more going ahead. So that's from Man City and Newcastle, more or less. And our new table toppers now, Liverpool, on their trip to uh, Wolves. I think this was a game where we thought Liverpool would probably bang in four, five, maybe again 6 goals like Chelsea did, because Salah is on that wing, Diaz on the other wing, and Wolves are particularly weak on the wings because of Ait Nouri and now um, injury to Mosquera. But surprisingly, Wolves were not really troubled in their defense. I mean, Liverpool didn't have a good game at all. Salah was so poor; he was not involved in the play. You couldn't find him on the pitch for a long period of time. Diaz was not involved at all. Uh, I Soboslai, I think, had the best chance from a Robertson cross to put them ahead early on, but he missed that. And I don't know. I mean, Liverpool didn't really trouble Wolves as much as you would expect them to. They got the win. I think Konate good on both sides of the pitch. He headed in the first goal, and although he was responsible for the Wolves goal, his mistake, but in general he was solid defensively. Otherwise, and Wolves, as usual, they got their goal. They never miss scoring a goal. So Wolves are a really a good team with very poor fixtures to start the season with, and I don't think their table position at this point reflects what that team is really doing at this point. So they are not a bottom three team. They will definitely avoid relegation. They'll definitely come up once their fixtures improve, and they're playing good. That's a very good team with some very good and committed players, a very good manager, and Wolves will do better. Liverpool got their win. Not a very convincing performance from Diaz, Salah. Trent was there and thereabout, but uh, again, nothing very solid or a spark or magic from him. And another interesting thing was Robertson took 8 corners, while Trent only took two. So, not a very encouraging sign for people who own Trent in the fantasy teams, but something to keep an eye on. Maybe it was tactical, but you have to keep an eye on that. So I think that's from the Wolves and Liverpool game. Brentford and West Ham. Brentford again. I think uh, there's this. They found some magic formula to score first-minute goals. For the third game in a row, they score within a minute, and this time again Bumo, and a very similar goal to what he got last week against Spurs, a volley on his left foot. Carvalho with the assist and a really good finish to start with. Uh, but that was it from Brentford in the first half, especially. That first goal, and then after that first goal in the first minute, they didn't really offer much throughout the rest of the game. West Ham went on the attack, right, left, and center the entire half, but that attack didn't have any quality, any link up play between them. They looked disjointed. Whatever you fed Antonio, he would either lose the ball, scuff the shot, or probably misplace his pass. So anything that went to Antonio would get, the attack would fizzle out. Kudus and Bowen, I think, were the main sources of attack, although Kudus was hooked off at halftime. So Brentford again, Thomas Suchek got the goal for West Ham. A little scrappy goal at that, but again, as you can associate with Thomas Suchek, he was at the right place at the right time and got West Ham their goal. I don't think both the teams' defense are good. Both are leaky. Both defense needs improvement. In FPL, I think you can stay away from West Ham and Brentford defenses. Even from Brentford, I think Mbuma is the only pick because everybody they didn't create much after, as I said, apart from that goal. Brentford didn't create much. Sade started this game, and so did Carvalho. Uh, but Carvalho looked more industrious. He was more involved, and he stayed on longer till 84th minute or so. While Sade was hooked off at 59th minute. So I think that's more or less the summary from this game. Shaky defenses, attacks that are not clicking. So cagey game of sorts. And then the big one, Ipswich, Aston Villa. The most surprising result of the weekend, I think. We expected Aston Villa to dominate at Ipswich in terms of attack, but the exact opposite happened. I think second half, Ipswich were all over Aston Villa. Aston Villa's defense is all over the place. If this is the defense they carry on to the Champions League, I think it'll be trouble for them. Even in the Premier League, they need to improve. Their fixture run has been good at this point, so I think they're getting away with it, and especially with the John Duran off the bench goals to bail them out, which didn't come in this match, and hence they finally dropped points. And Rogers got a goal. Ollie Watkins gave an assist to Rogers for the first goal, got a goal himself. But I think all those performances were overshadowed by Liam Delap's brace. Brilliant, brilliant display from Liam Delap. He could have got a hat trick. He missed a big chance later on, and yeah, Ipswich just dominated. Leif Davis, their left back, was very attacking. He created a lot of chances. Got a bonus point in fantasy without any return. So that tells you a lot. And yeah, again, Villa's defense, we talked about it in the last pod as well. Villa's defense is something to swerve at this point. They're just not finding their feet. So, and John Duran again came off the bench post 60 minute, replaced Rogers, who went off with a tight hamstring. So that's something you can keep an eye on in the midweek again in the Champions League. We'll give you an update before the Game Week 7 preview pod. But yeah, something to keep an eye on. So that's it. Villa drop points. Duran off the bench goal, and Villa drop points. I think that's the summary, and a very very good performance from Ipswich at home. I think now they started to show what they're really made up of, and you can expect a fair few good results from Ipswich. They're a fighting team. They're a good team. You can see that, and especially at home, they're doing good. So they have good players, and yeah, I expect better things from Ipswich going forward. So yeah, let's move forward from this game and let's talk about the Everton versus Crystal Palace game. I think going into this match on paper, we thought this would be a cagey fixture because both attacks were not really. Everton is not known for their attack. Palace's attack is just not clicking. For Mateta, as they have not returned much this season. So this was expected to be a KG game, and I think for Crystal Palace it turned out exactly like that. Their attack didn't click at all. They got they got the first goal. They went into the lead, but it was a goal from a corner, and it was a very scrappy goal. But apart from that, their attack just didn't click. I mean, the passes between their teammates and between their attackers, they just don't seem to know what the other guy is going to do. I mean, the wavelengths are different for everybody. So I think, I don't know, there's something wrong and they need more time to come good. So Crystal Palace is a team to target in FPL. I think you have to avoid their players and play players against them because they're not clicking at this point. Everton, on the other hand, they've had their defensive problems throughout the season from the start, but they didn't have Jared Branthwaite, and we've been talking about this a lot. Jared Branthwaite was back this game week. He started, and Everton looked much more at ease. Although they're still struggling from set pieces, and you can target their defense for any player who's good in the air and who has good set piece threat can do well against Everton. But in general, their defense looked more settled. The trio of Tarkowski, Mikolenko, and Branthwaite, they understand each other well and looked much more settled and calm. The team looked calm. McNeil with an absolute wonder goal. Got a brace, but the first goal was such a great finish from outside the box. He's oozing with confidence. He's just looking like a different player this season. And if he can keep this form up, I think he'll be a huge factor for Everton this season. He's playing in an advanced number 10 and he's relishing in that role. Really good performance from him. Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a good game. Had a very big chance. He missed it, but had a very good game. He looks like a different player. He got his looks like he has his confidence back, and confidence can do wonders for a player like Dominic Calvert-Lewin who can rub off from that confidence and the performances depend on it. So Dominic Calvert-Lewin is someone to keep an eye on again going forward. I think the form and the confidence that he has, he'll return good going forward. Crystal Palace, they need to save their season and they need to turn a corner as soon as they can. Forest Fulham was again a very cagey fixture. Forest really missed Morgan Gibbs White. They didn't really create much, didn't have much to offer. Really had no attacking threat in the match. Uh, once Callum Hudson-Odoi came on, he looked lively, created a couple of chances. Wood had a goal, uh, not a goal. He hit the post, but that was given offside. And they Nottingham Forest probably should have had a penalty. It was not given, but you know, again, grey refereeing decisions that I think should have been a penalty. VAR could have reviewed it, and that should have been a penalty. I don't know why it was not a penalty. Premier League standards really now confuse you. I mean, there's no you regularity, so as to say, in the decisions. So Should have had a penalty, and would have been on pens, but not to be. They didn't get that penalty. But Fulham got their penalty. Raul Jimenez took it, a well taken penalty. He got his goal again. So that just puts Muniz more onto the bench, tied to the bench. He's not getting his place back anytime soon. Raul is doing good. Smith Rowe played more minutes again, played 88 minutes, had a decent game, nothing too, not too good and nothing bad about it. So had a good game. So yeah, something if you have him in your fantasy team, you can keep hold of ESR. And the final game of the weekend, Bournemouth versus Southampton. We predicted in the last pod, I had my differential as Semenyo and Evan Nilsson both to score, and both of them scored. Evan Nilsson got his first goal for the Premier League. I think that will open the floodgates for him. He's a very good striker, as I said in the last pod. He has played for Brazil. He has a very good record. And again, you just need some confidence to start. And he missed the penalty against Chelsea, and that would have dented his confidence. But getting this goal and opening his account would have relieved him of that pressure. So I expect Evan Nilsson to have a good season going ahead. And Semenyo, as usual, was really lively. Got his goal. Was crucially involved for the second goal as well. Uh, so overall, we expected this against Southampton, Bournemouth to win against Southampton. But all the main players from Bournemouth whom we expected to do well did well and had a good game. So uh, nothing of surprise there. Southampton again really poor. Uh, their defense, their attack, defensively especially, they're so poor. I don't know how they'll stay in the Premier League if they don't drastically change something. So Russell Martin again must be under a lot of pressure now. So Southampton again a team to target. They play Arsenal next, and that is something in terms of fantasy. Again, if you own Arsenal players, do not panic and sell Saka for Palmer. We do not recommend that. Hold on to your guns. If you went to Saka, you need to keep hold of him for Leicester and Southampton. You can't just knee jerk and sell Saka for Palmer. But we'll cover that more in the next pod. As I said, the next pod would be more an FPL preview to Game Week 7, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. A very quick overview of the Game Week 7 fixtures, although, as I said, we'll cover it in the next pod. These are the list of fixtures. For the audio guys, it's Crystal Palace, Liverpool, Arsenal, Southampton, Brentford, Wolves, Leicester, Bournemouth, Man City, Fulham, West Ham, Ipswich, and Everton, Newcastle on Saturday. And then Sunday we finish off with Aston Villa United. That will be an interesting game. Chelsea Forest and Brighton Spurs. I think Brighton Spurs would also be I expect it to be a high scoring fixture again. So that's all from us today for all the matches. Hope you enjoyed this episode and you liked the content that we brought to you. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please do give us a like and subscribe to our channel. If you're listening to us on audio platforms, you can give us a follow, rate our podcast, and you can get in touch with us on our socials at on X, Instagram, and Threads. We are on all the platforms at FooTea Fantasy. It's the same ID everywhere. So do get in touch with us, give us some feedback, interact with us. We'll really like it, and we'll try to definitely respond to you and get in touch with you as well. So that is all from us. Thank you so much. Take care, and see you in the next pod. Bye bye.